Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Nowadays I'm exploring the Airbus A320 Neo by iniBuilds, and in this regard I'm making a series of videos so that I can just cover all the information related to this plane into different videos, so that it's easy for you to look for a specific information on my channel. For this plane, so far I have uploaded 11 tutorials, and this is going to be the 12th one in which I will tell you how to perform a go around. Right now I'm doing a short flight from Lahore to Islamabad in Pakistan, my home city, and it's a short flight. Soon the plane will be cruising at 25,000 feet, and as you can see that the top of descent is really near. So that's why I just wanted to start the video from here. And before I formally begin this video, I would just like to tell you that every time when I'm making videos, I always keep this thing in my mind that the beginners will be watching it. However, for this video, yes, I have this thing in my mind that the beginners are watching it, but I'm assuming that you have the experience of flying this plane and landing it successfully. And if you have not watched the earlier videos in which I have told you how to make a flight plan, how to fly this plane on autopilot, and how to manage the descent and ILS approach, then I would recommend that you just go and watch those videos and just come back over here. So now for the descent, let's see that whether the MCDU is configured or not. Now let's just go through the flow of the MCDU. First of all, we'll check whether we have selected the approach or not, and yes, you can see the runway 28 left for Islamabad International Airport is selected. Then you can see the ILS frequency is there and the course is coming. It's rather 278, so you can change it. Then in the performance tab, I have given all the information, and for the next page I will just talk about it in a while. And that's it. So everything is good. We have the approach, the ILS frequency, and plus the performance information. Now before I proceed further, let's go to Navigraph and consult the approach plate in order to see what is the go around procedure for runway 28 left. As per the approach plate of runway 28 left, the missed approach procedure or the go around procedure is coming over here. So as soon as you declare a missed approach or you decide to go around, you would climb straight ahead to D4.0, which is this point. So this is the runway, and once you decide to perform a go around, then you will go straight this heading 278 degrees, and then afterwards you will turn left to 240 degrees, and you will climb up to 3,500 feet. Afterwards you will again turn to 100 degrees, turn left, and then you will climb up to 4,500. Now after this point, you will be given instructions by the ATC. However, if you are not using the ATC or VRAM, then you can just do anything. Number one, you can just keep on flying straight over here, and then at this point you can then again turn left and go for the approach. Or maybe you can go again back to this point, ISDO, which is the initial approach fix, and then you can proceed with the landing. So at ISDO, if you go to this point, the speed should be not more than 220 knots, and the altitude should be 6,000 feet. And once you are at this point and you turn left towards the approach, then what you can do is this: you can descend to 3,700 feet Renix in order to intercept the glide slope, as you can see it over here. At the Renix, your speed should not be more than 210 knots, and the altitude should be 3,700 feet. Then at this point you will fly in the heading of 278 degrees, and then at this point, the final descent point, which is D6.06 nautical miles away from the runway, then you will start to descend towards the runway with an angle of 3 degrees. So now after looking at the approach plate and understanding that what are the procedures that we are going to follow, now within the plane I'm just going to give you some briefing how you will perform a missed approach or a go around. So what you will do is this: at the moment you decide to perform a go around, you will bring the thrust levers all the way to this option, toga, which is take off and go around. So the name itself is self-explanatory that it says toga. So you will give full thrust. And with this, you will pull back on the side stick, and you will start to climb. As soon as you have a positive rate of climb, you will retract the gears. And what else? Yes, you will also retract the flaps, because I'm going to go for a full flap landing. Let me just show you over here. I've set the full flap landing. As you can see, full is coming, and my approach speed is 132 knots. So the flaps will be at full position. So as soon as I will retract the gears, I will also retract the flaps, and I will keep them at position 3, and subsequently I will just keep on retracting the flaps as soon as the plane starts to gain the speed. Different speeds are coming. At 146 or below, you should have flaps. After this speed, you can start to retract the flaps, and till 190 knots. And then after this speed, you can also retract the slats, and this is the green dot speed, 211 knots, at which you can fly without any flaps and slats. So if you are new to the flight simulation or to the planes, let me just give you one explanation. If you look at the wings, at the front you have slats, and at the back you have flaps. So once you start extending the flaps, actually the slats come out first, and then afterwards in the subsequent positions you also get the flaps. So that's how we're going to do it. Right now you can see the plane is going towards ISRO, and at this point the altitude should be 6,000 and above. As you can see, it's coming over here. Now what you can do is this, that after the go around, you have your thrust levers to toga, retract the gears, start retracting the flaps, and with this you can then go with the autopilot option. You can turn it on, because once you enter your flight plan in the MCDU, the missed approach procedure is also updated. As you can see, it's coming over here. The speed is coming, and then the altitude is also coming, and the heading is also coming. So everything is good, and you will soon start to see this missed approach procedure also there in the navigation display, and now it has started to appear. This blue line is coming, which shows you that the missed approach procedure or the go around procedure is armed. So the green is your active flight plan, and blue is armed, and you can see it's intercepting ISRO. So once you are flying in this direction 100 degrees, you can always go to ISRO, and then you can proceed towards the runway, or maybe at some time you can also directly fly to this point, F128 left, I28 left. Yes. So that's it. So right now you can see the plane is going towards this point, CI2LY. It's following the descent profile, so everything is looking good so far. And soon I will also start to extend the flaps. Let me just turn on the lights for the landing. Now there is another thing I would just like to tell you, that if you go to the MCDU and you go to the performance, over here you're also seeing the different speeds for the flaps and slats coming, and plus thrust reduction altitude is coming. It's actually coming as 3,240, because the runway elevation for Islamabad International Airport is 1,747. So it's automatically adding an altitude to it. So let's keep it over here, but if you want to change it, you can always change it. Let's say if I keep it at 3,400/3,400. Now you will see this thrust reduction altitude is coming. So what is this thrust reduction altitude? Now what I can do is this, let me just activate the approach phase, and let's just confirm it so that the speed reduces. Now at the thrust reduction altitude, as now after the missed approach or the go around procedure, the thrust levers will be at this position toga. So that's why at this altitude, you will see thrust climb blinking over here on the FMA, and at this time you will bring the thrust levers all the way back to climb, and then you will continue with the flight. Now this is the green dot speed. You can fly without any flaps and slats over here. And let me just turn on the ILS indicators. So altimeter is set. QNH is 1006. And soon the plane will be leveling off at 3,700. Now the speed is reducing. Now what I can do is this, I can start extending the slats and the flaps. Let's set to position 1. And you can see the slats are getting extended now. Now this is the speed after which you should have flaps, because the slats and flaps, they actually provide lift and drag as well. So that's why you use them. Now let's go to position 2. Now everything is looking good. We have got the lights, seatbelt signs are on, or rather set to auto. Also make sure that you're constantly monitoring the fuel as well, because I will be also coming back and landing again. So that's why I have to keep an eye on the fuel. Now with this, I can turn on the approach and the plane will start to follow the glide slope. And now I can also lower the gears and bring the flaps position to 3. The speed is now reducing. And now as you can see that I am way above than the glide slope. As this diamond is below, so that's why there is an issue. So the plane is actually not following the glide slope. So this was an ideal situation where I can just demonstrate that how you perform a go around. So now what I can do is this. I can set the altitude to 3,500 because this is the altitude to which I will be climbing. And you can see this point is coming plus 3,500. Now the plane is not descending towards the runway. What I can do is this. I can deactivate the autopilot and I can start to descend, and you can see that the runway is very far. The speed is increasing and obviously I cannot land. So this is just for the demonstration purpose. And ground spoilers, let's arm them because I could see this error coming over here, or the memo. Now I'm trying to land, but I don't think so I'm going to make it.
1,000.
Still 1,000 feet above the runway. Very high vertical speed, and you can see the errors are coming, or rather you can hear the errors are coming. So that's why what you can do is this. At this point you have missed the runway by a good margin. Obviously if you try to land, the plane would not stop before the runway ends. So at this time just pull back on the stick and bring the thrust levers to toga, and you can see now the toga is active, and I have a positive rate of climb, gears up and flaps up by 1 position, and now I have the control of the plane. I'm flying it. At this point you can turn on, you can see now the plane has crossed the flaps speed. I can also start retracting the flaps so that the plane gets a good speed, but not more than 250 knots. With this I can turn on the autopilot, and now the plane will climb up to 3,500. I can further retract the flaps. Now it's at the slat speed. I can further retract the flaps, and I can get the altitude. Now the altitude is there, and I can fly in the heading mode. Just keep an eye on the flight mode annunciator. Speed, let's set it to 250 knots, because below 10,000 feet your speed should not be more than 250 knots. Thrust lever climb, so bring the thrust levers to climb, and that's it. Now the speed is getting maintained over here, and now I can turn 240 degrees if I'm flying in the heading mode. Change the heading. So now, once you're performing a go around or a missed approach, it's kind of a mix. You can fly the plane in the selected mode, or rather you can just simply go to the manage mode. So after crossing this point, I can climb up to 4,500. QNH is blinking, you can ignore it, because the transition altitude is 12,000 feet. So if we are below 12,000 feet, we should set the given barometric pressure. Now I will keep the lights on, and the ground spoilers are also active, and the seatbelt signs are automatically on because I am below 10,000 feet. Now I can set the heading to 100 degrees, turn back, and that's it, and climb up to 4,500. Now you can see, actually this is your flight plan, but it's appearing as a dash line because it's not active. You're not flying in the manage mode, rather you're flying in the selected mode. And now you can see this line is now adjusted. So everything is good now. Now what you can do is this. You can see that the flight plan is still active. If you go to your flight plan, you will see this flight plan is again active, and that's it. So what you can do is this. You can go to this option, and then you can select a waypoint, and you can just fly directly towards it. Right now you can see this amber color is coming with the static. It's showing that at this point your flight level should be 6,500 or flight level 065, but the plane will not be at this level by this point. So that's why it's coming in this color. So I can select ISDO and I can fly towards this point. And what I can do is this. I can, actually my mouse messed it up. I can bring everything in the manage mode now. Let's go up to or rather 6,000, because if you look at the navigation display, it's coming as 6,000. So instead of 6,500, I'll go up to 6,000, because I'm going to start the approach again from this point ISDO. Now you can see this managed speed is coming as 250 knots. As you can see, this triangle is coming over here. So the speed will not go more than 250 knots. It's managed, and I've turned on the manage mode for the heading, and as you can see, these three dashes are coming with a circle, so it means it's the manage mode, and the plane will actually then follow this complete flight plan, and it will again follow all these constraints and go for the landing. And now the plane is leveling off at 6,000 feet, and that's it. Now I can again prepare the plane for the landing, And you can see estimated fuel on board is coming 1.4 tons. If you can just look at this information, you can see the fuel flow is really high. It's like 1920 kilograms per hour. And if you've got like 1 ton, you've got hardly 20-25 minutes of flight left. So in this time, you have to land. And hopefully by this time I will be at the runway, because I will be having 1.2 tons of fuel. Afterwards, it's going to be a disaster. But right now, currently, how much fuel you have, it's 2,300 kilograms. So maybe you can just fly for another 1 hour, but after the runway, you will be left with very little time. So that's why you should always consider the fuel coming over here in this plane. It's a very good plane. I've been flying it, and it gives you some really good information into the flight. And if you do multiple flights with it, obviously you will learn many things about flying planes, navigation, fuel calculations and stuff. So it will give you a good perspective. Now what I can do is this, that I can again set the altitude to 3,700 in order to descend and intercept the glide slope. And I can then go in the manage mode. Right now you can see there is a restriction coming for 5,000, so the plane will actually follow it. At this point, CI 2LY, and then afterwards the plane will descend to 3,700. If you practice this procedure, then you will also be able to practice your landings. What I do is this: multiple times I land at the runway. As soon as the plane touches the runway, I again go for the toga, pull back on the stick, retract the flaps by one position, and then again I just perform a go around and come back. So you can fly these circuits and practice landings as well. Because you must be wondering that if you are flying this plane from one airport to another, and the visibility is really good, you can see the runway, then why there is a need to perform this procedure. So if at any point you feel that your approach is not good, you're not going to land, then you can do this. If you are flying for any virtual airline or you're flying with VRAM. So that's why at this point, this procedure will come handy. Now you can see 3,700 is again coming in blue color. It means it's armed. So the plane is actually aiming for this. A deceleration point is also coming over here. Destination estimated fuel on board below minimum. Okay. Now you can see it has increased because the fuel flow is now less, as the plane has got less thrust. So while performing these procedures, always keep an eye on the fuel levels. Or maybe if you are planning to perform these procedures, then carry some 1 or 2 hours of extra fuel. So roughly at the cruising altitude, this plane burns 2,800, 2,900 fuel kgs of fuel per hour. So that's how you can just manage it. Now what I can do is this: I can again go to performance, and I cannot activate the approach phase. Now it's gone. Again, it's automatically activated. I didn't even do it because the deacceleration point was coming, so it's already there. I can turn on the approach and just leave it like this. Again, I will set it to 3,500 in case if I want to just come back and land again. So lights on, seatbelt signs on, ground spoiler is active, and after this green dot speed, I can have flaps at position 1, which will extend the slats. Or if you want to drastically reduce the speed, you can have the speed brakes on the spoilers, and you can see the speed will reduce. And now you can have flaps at position 2, and then you can go for 3. Track the speed brakes, arm the ground spoilers, and that's it. Now the plane will follow the glide slope as I've activated approach. I can now lower the gears for the landing. And full flaps. Now you can see full flaps extended, so you can look at this memo. Landing gears down, signs on, cabin check, spoilers arm, and flaps full. Now the plane is following the glide slope. I can press this autopilot and go for the auto landing. No need to test my piloting skills. So now the autopilot will land the plane. Because right now, after this video, I'm going to make another one in which I will tell you what to do with the plane once you land. Today the visibility is really low in Islamabad. It rained 2 days back. So now you can see the runway. Crosswind. You can see some turbulence is there. But it's autopilot's job to land this plane today.
400. 300.
Oops.
200. 100.
Great.
50. 40.
So the autopilot worked really well.
30. 20. Retard. 10. 5. Retard.
Bring back the thrust idle and reverse thrust activated. And such a nice landing. So that's it. So this is how you land this plane and you bring it to a stop. Now after this I will be making another video. That's why I'm just going to stop at the runway, because I'm going to tell you guys how to perform different procedures once you land and what are the things that you do afterwards. I hope this was a useful video, and now you will be able to perform a go around or a missed approach. Thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.